I raised my son with everything I had, my heart, my time, and every bit of love in me. I was a single mother after his father left us when he was 5. It wasn't easy. I worked 2 jobs for years just to put food on the table and give him a childhood that didn't feel broken. And when he finally became a man, got married, and had children of his own, I thought I had made it. I thought I'd finally get to enjoy the fruits of all those hard years. But life doesn't always unfold the way you dream it. I'm 68 years old now, retired, living alone in a quiet little house in Spokane, Washington. My son Evan lives just 20 minutes away with his wife Laura and their 2 beautiful children, my grandbabies, Mia and Ben. I used to visit every weekend. We'd bake cookies together, draw dinosaurs on the living room floor, and I'd tuck them in while reading them. Stories the same way I once did with Evan. And then it stopped. The calls went unanswered. My texts were left on read. My weekend visits suddenly too busy. At first, I told myself it was normal young families get caught up in life. But after months of silence, I finally called Evan. I asked gently, "Is something wrong? Have I upset you?" He sighed and said something that shattered me in a way I never imagined. "Mom, Laura thinks it's best if you stay away for a while. The kids, they don't really want to see you anymore." It felt like a punch to my chest. I couldn't breathe. My own grandkids didn't want me around? Why? What did I do? But what happened next changed everything. One rainy afternoon, while dropping off an old sweater Evan had left behind in my garage, I saw something. A corner of a shoebox tucked deep under the bench by their back door. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. And what I found inside? It rewrote everything I thought I knew about my family. I guess to understand how much that moment broke me, you need to know who I am and what my life has looked like. My name is Elaine Winters. I was born in 1956, grew up in a small town in Idaho, and moved to Washington after I got married at 22. I was young, in love, and ready to build a life with Mark, my high school sweetheart. We bought a fixer-upper in Spokane and brought our baby boy, Evan, into the world just 2 years later. But marriage, it's not always what you think it'll be. Mark left when Evan was 5. No warning. One night I was folding laundry and the next morning he was gone. It's just a note on the kitchen table saying he couldn't do it anymore. That was it. No child support, no visits, not even a birthday card for Evan. I had to become both mother and father overnight. I worked mornings at a diner and evenings cleaning offices. I missed PTA meetings, baseball games, and some dinners because I was too exhausted or stuck at work. But Evan, he never once made me feel like I failed him. He was a sweet, quiet boy. I loved dinosaurs, grilled cheese sandwiches, and curling up on the couch with me to watch old reruns of I Love Lucy. Every penny I earned went into making his life feel normal. He never wore designer clothes, but he was clean, fed, and loved, deeply loved. When he turned 17, I surprised him with his first car. It wasn't anything flashy, just a used Toyota Corolla with 150,000 miles, but you'd have thought I gave him the moon. When he got into Washington State University, I cried. Not because I was sad to see him go, but because I'd spent nearly 2 decades worrying that my sacrifices wouldn't be enough. But they were. He was going to college. A baby made it. I kept working even after he graduated. By then, I was cleaning houses during the week and doing grocery runs for elderly neighbors on weekends just to keep up. But I didn't mind. I liked staying busy and I loved feeling useful. Then he met Laura. She came into the picture like a gust of wind, charming, articulate, and always perfectly put together. I met her during a Thanksgiving dinner. She wore a cream sweater with gold buttons and brought a cranberry almond tart from some upscale bakery in town. She hugged me when we met, but it felt rehearsed, like a performance. It's not fake, just distant. You know when someone smiles with their mouth but not their eyes? Still, I tried. I offered to help with wedding plans. She politely declined. I suggested Evan and I work on a slideshow of childhood photos for the reception. She told me they'd rather keep it modern. I let it go. Their wedding was small and tasteful, only 40 guests. I sat in the third row, not the front. That stung a little, but I didn't say anything. I just smiled, held back tears, and whispered a prayer that Evan would always be loved. Years passed. He bought a house in the suburbs. Both got decent. Job Seaven as a financial planner and Laura in marketing. Then came Mia, then Ben. My heart grew twice its size when I held Mia for the first time. Her little hand wrapped around my finger, and I thought, this is it. This is what all those years were for. For the first few years, it was good. I babysat often. I helped Laura recover from postpartum depression by bringing her casseroles and folding laundry without being asked. I was there for school recitals, birthday parties, even just rainy afternoons when Laura wanted to go out for air. But something shifted over time. Laura began keeping me at a distance. She started organizing the kids' birthdays at venues I couldn't afford to attend. "It's okay, Elaine. We'll send you pictures," she'd say. Evan didn't object. He just nodded along. Then came the holidays. I'd wait for invites that never came. When I called, I'd get voicemail. When I dropped by unannounced, the door often went unanswered, even if I could hear footsteps inside. Still, I didn't want to be that mother-in-law. You know, the kind people whisper about Nettie, overbearing, always complaining. So I stayed quiet. But it hurt. It hurt when my neighbor Donna would ask, "Don't your grandkids come over anymore?" And I'd lie, saying, "Oh, they're just busy with soccer and school." It hurt every time I saw a grandmother pushing a stroller through the park, whispering secrets to a giggling child. That used to be me. I tried reaching out in small ways. I mailed cards, little toys, hand-knitted, scarves with their initials. Most of them went unknacked, Noel lead GED, D. Then came the call I mentioned earlier. I had waited 4 weeks without word from Evan. And finally, one quiet Thursday morning, I called. "Hi, honey, it's Mom. I just wanted to check in. I haven't seen the kids in a while," and he cut me off. "Mom, Laura thinks it's best if we take some space. The kids, they've been asking not to come over. They feel uncomfortable." I remember standing in the kitchen, one hand clutching the counter, the other still holding the phone to my ear, my coffee growing cold beside me. I stared out the window, past the bird feeder Evan made in 6th grade, past the dying marigolds I planted with Mia last spring. Uncomfortable. I whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom. It's just easier this way. Please don't take it personally." But how else was I supposed to take it? I spent the next few weeks moving through life like a ghost. Grocery store, home, rinse, repeat. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My body felt heavy. My heart even heavier. Then one day, fate, or maybe God, decided I'd suffered enough in silence. I stopped by Evan's house to drop off a box of old winter clothes. He wasn't home, but the side gate was open, and I thought, I'll just leave it on the back porch. That's when I saw the box. A little shoebox tucked under the garden bench by the mudroom door. It had my name on it. My name in Mia's. Handwriting crooked letters, backward E, like she used to do when she was 5. I picked it up and opened the lid, and my world stopped. Inside that small, dusty shoebox were letters, dozens of them. Folded pieces of colorful notebook paper, scribbled with crayons, gel pens, and even stickers, each one addressed to me. "Dear Grandma, hi Grandma Elaine, I miss you. Why don't you come over anymore?" My hands shook as I picked up the first one, written on pink paper with unicorn stickers along the edges. It was from Mia. "Dear Grandma, I cried when I didn't see you on my birthday. Mommy said you were busy, but I saw your car drive by. Did you forget? I love you, love Mia." I sat down on the cold stone step of their porch, clutching that letter to my chest like it was a lifeline. One by one, I read through them, letters from both Mia and Ben, written at different times. Some dated back over a year. One had a smudge from what looked like a teardrop. Another had a crayon drawing of the three of us sitting under a tree, eating sandwiches. Ben wrote one that said, "I got an A in spelling. I wanted to tell you, but Mommy said not to call." I blinked hard, my eyes refusing to stay dry. The ache in my chest turned into something sharper. Betrayal. These weren't the words of children who didn't want to see me. These were the words of children who were being kept away, lied to. It's just like I had been. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but something was very wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with the letters spread out like evidence, because that's what they were. Proof that I hadn't been imagining things, that the love was still there, hidden but alive. The next day, I called Evan again. No answer. Texted him, "I found something I think we need to talk about." Still nothing, so I did something I hadn't done in years. I drove to his office. His receptionist was polite, but I could tell she'd been instructed to keep me away. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Winters. Evan is in a meeting right now. Can I take a message?" I left an envelope with 3 of the letters inside, sealed with tape, and a note that simply read, "Please read. It's important." 3 more days went by. No call, no text, nothing. Then, on a Sunday morning, just as I was watering the petunias on my front porch, my phone rang. It was Evan. His voice was flat, almost rehearsed. "Mom, I got the envelope." "I need you to stop." I froze. "Stop what?" I asked. "Digging around. You have no idea what's going on. Just ... Leave it alone." That did it. "Evan," I said, my voice shaking, "I've been left alone long enough. Now you're going to tell me why my grandchildren are writing letters they're never allowed to send." There was a long silence. He exhaled. "Laura didn't want to worry you. She thinks your presence confuses the kids. She says it. Sets them back emotionally. They're in therapy, Mom. Therapy. 'Cause of me." "Evan, what exactly are you telling them about me?" Another pause. "Nothing bad," he muttered. "Just that we needed space. Laura thinks your ... your way of showing love is outdated. You know, all the sweets and spoiling and old-fashioned stuff. The therapist agrees it's not helpful." I gripped the phone tighter. "You're telling me giving them hugs and homemade cookies is harmful?" Kay didn't answer. I could hear Laura in the background. I couldn't make out the words, but I recognized the tone, firm, controlling, like she was managing him like a puppet on strings. "I didn't raise you to be this kind of man," I whispered. "Mom," he started, but I hung up. I sat down. Right there on the porch steps, my knees weak, my breath shallow. All these years I had tried so hard not to be a burden. I tiptoed around their schedules, made excuses for their absence, blamed myself when things didn't feel right. But this wasn't my fault. Something was being hidden. Something much deeper than birthday parties and missed calls. The following week, I decided to visit Mia and Ben's school. I knew their schedule from old calendars and photo days. I waited in the parking lot, hidden in plain sight, till I saw them coming out with a group of students and a teacher. And when Mia saw me, her whole face lit up. "Grandma," she shouted, breaking away from the line. She ran toward me like a burst of sunshine, and I knelt down just in time to catch her in my arms. "Why haven't you been coming over?" she asked, eyes wide and innocent. I fought back tears. "I wanted to, sweetheart. I really did." Ben joined her, hugging my waist tight. "We thought you were mad at us," he said softly. My heart broke again in a new way. I was about to say anything, when a teacher rushed over. "Ma'am, sorry, but you're not on the pickup list. You'll need to step away." I apologized, promised I wasn't trying to take them. "Just say hello," and as I walked back to my car, Mia called out behind me, "Don't forget to write back." I put a letter in the box. The box they'd been sending them, which meant someone had been collecting them and hiding them. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Why would Laura keep their letters? Why not just throw them away? Why hide them in a box on the porch? Unless they weren't meant for her. Unless someone else was hiding them from her too. Someone who wanted me to find them. And suddenly, I realized I might not be the only one quietly fighting for those kids. The idea that someone in that house might be on my side lit a fire in me I hadn't felt in years. I couldn't sit still. My mind raced with possibilities. Was it Mia? Maybe she had started hiding the letters, hoping I'd find them. But she was just a child. How would she even know how to do that? Or maybe Evan. Was he secretly trying to tell me something he didn't dare say aloud? I had to find out. That night, I did something I never thought I would. I returned to their house not during the day, but in the quiet of evening when I knew they'd be out. I had remembered Laura mentioning a dinner reservation on her Facebook, some vegan bistro downtown. She never turned down a chance to post a wine glass selfie. I parked a few blocks away and walked the rest. The backyard gate was still unlocked. The porch light was on. I wasn't trying to snoop. I told myself I was trying to understand. I didn't step inside. I didn't cross that line. But I checked the bench again. The box was gone. My stomach twisted. Someone had moved it. But why? I turned to Levon. That's when I saw it. A small envelope tucked inside one of Mia's rain boots, sitting on the porch shelf, in tiny letters on the front. For Grandma, I opened it with trembling fingers. It was a drawing. It's just a simple crayon sketch. It's a woman with gray hair, 2 kids, holding her hands and a big red heart over them. Below it, scrawled in big, crooked letters, "We miss you." I broke down right there on their back porch, crouched between garden tools and an old soccer ball, tears pouring down my face. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being dramatic. They missed me. They were crying out the only way they knew how. Pause. After that night, I stopped waiting. I started documenting everything. I printed out every message, every note. I recorded the date and time of my school parking lot visit. I saved screenshots of my unanswered texts. I even spoke to an old friend of mine, Martha, who volunteers as a guardian ad litem. Elaine, she told me gently, this might be emotional abuse, withholding a grandparent from children without cause, especially when there's a strong prior bond. It can affect them deeply. She encouraged me to write a letter to the school counselor, and even suggested I consult a family law attorney, not for custody, but for visitation rights. It felt extreme. I wasn't trying to sue my own son, but I needed a way to protect my connection with Mia and Ben before it was erased completely. Then came the phone call. It was Laura. "I know what you're doing," she said, her voice cold and clipped. "Coming to the school, sneaking around our house. It's inappropriate." "I'm not sneaking," I said calmly. "I'm answering letters." There was a silence, sharp and dangerous. "You're upsetting the children," she snapped. "No, Laura, you're upset that they still love me." Another pause. "Don't call here again. If you show up at the school again, I'll file a restraining order." She hung up. I stared at the phone, stunned. I couldn't believe it had come to this. A restraining order? For loving my grandchildren. I didn't know what to do next. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped my mug and it shattered on the kitchen floor. The sound echoed through my empty house, louder than it should have been. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I reread every single letter I had, every drawing, every tiny note. And I noticed something. In the corner of 3 different letters, in different ink colors, there was a little drawing of a bunny holding a key. It was odd. Hadn't thought much of it before. But now I was certain it was a sign. Someone was helping me. Maybe it was Mia, maybe even Evan, maybe someone else entirely. But whoever it was, they were leaving me breadcrumbs. The next week, I received a package in my mailbox with no return address. Inside was a flash drive. I hesitated, but plugged it into my old desktop. There were audio files, short ones, labeled by date. I clicked on one at random, static. Then a child's voice, Ben. I asked Mommy why Grandma can't come. She said Grandma's sick in the head and might hurt us. But Grandma never hurt us. I think Mommy's lying. Kea gasped. Another. Philema whispering. I wrote a letter and put it in the flower pot. I hope Grandma finds it. I miss her hugs. I miss her laugh. Tears streamed down my face. These weren't just letters. These were cries for help. And someone inside that house was recording them. I called the one person I could trust. Martha. She came over, listened to the files, read the letters, and said, "Elaine, this is not just about being kept away. This is manipulation. These kids are being taught to suppress love." That week, Martha helped me draft a formal petition. For third-party visitation rights, it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about control. It was about truth. About protecting two small hearts from being rewritten. When Evan got served with the documents, he showed up at my door. He looked tired, defeated. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice strained. "Because I love them," I said. "Because they still love me. And because I won't let that be stolen." He sat down at my kitchen table, the same one where we used to do his math homework, and put his face in his hands. "I didn't know," he said. "I didn't know she was hiding their letters." "You didn't want to know?" I corrected softly. We sat in silence. For once, no accusations, no yelling. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the ghost of better days between us. Then he said, something that both broke and healed me at once. "I think I've made a mistake." Pause, but it wasn't over. Lara wouldn't let go so easily. She filed a countermotion, alleging that I was mentally unwell and unsafe for the children. She submitted doctored screenshots of old texts, twisted conversations out of context, even tried to argue that I had obsessive tendencies and boundary issues. The court ordered a psychological evaluation. I complied. I had nothing to hide, and slowly, piece by piece, the truth started to come out. The court-ordered psychological evaluation was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. I sat across from a gray-haired woman in glasses who introduced herself as Dr. Carmen Leo. She had a warm smile and soft eyes, but her pen moved fast, noting every word I said. "Tell me about your relationship with your grandchildren," she asked. I told her everything, how I was there for Mia's first words and Ben's first steps. How I'd spent birthdays, sick days, holidays by their side. I didn't cry, though I wanted to. I wanted to show I was grounded, steady. Not some obsessive old woman like Lara had painted me to be.